Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September meeting of the Academy of Integrative Health and Medicine's Cleveland chapter. I'm Peter Geller, co-leader of the chapter, along with Dr. Amy Cipolla, who should be here joining us shortly. And also with us this evening is one of our three leadership associates from the Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine, Serena Lee, an M4, who's sitting at the Zoom helm and probably has the power to blot me out of the meeting anytime if she chooses. So I think I better be careful about what I say, right? Serena also has organized our October speaker event, which I'm going to give you a heads up about in a few moments. But first, tonight we're really truly excited and honored to be hosting two of the most renowned practitioners, authors, teachers, and researchers in the fields of integrative optometry and integrative ophthalmology, respectively. Holistic optometrist Dr. Marc Grossman, who is also a licensed acupuncturist and practitioner of traditional Chinese medicine. And by the way, that's a pretty rare combo of credentials in this country. And also a vision therapy expert. And integrative neuro-ophthalmologist Dr. Rani Banik, also a certified functional medicine practitioner, who has done extensive research into ocular nutrition, which she'll be talking some about tonight, and other facets of integrative eye care. So as you all know, Drs. Grossman and Banik will be presenting jointly on Seeing Forever, an integrative body-mind-spirit approach to longevity of vision. This talk will cover some highlights of a much more extensive course on the same subject that they propose to offer at an integrative medicine conference next year. So at our meeting tonight, we're actually privileged to be getting a kind of sneak preview that nobody else has seen of the full course syllabus intended for 2026. So, normally I might go into further detail about the bios of these distinguished practitioners, and I often maybe go a little bit too long into doing that, but there is really so much to go into. There's so much ground to cover tonight that I am going to actually just stop right here with the background. And if you want to know more about their backgrounds and professional accomplishments, please take a look at the AIHM website's events page at www.aihmorg.org/events. What you do is you click on the entry for this talk and you bring up more detailed bio profiles and write up about the talk. So I do have a few announcements to make. I'm going to save actually a couple of them for later, but Serena, if you wouldn't mind putting up the poster right now, because I just want to draw attention to the AIHM's own annual conference, which this year is October 24th through 26th. The poster is there right now. This is our organization's biggest event of the year. I have attended 3 of them in the last 6 years or so, in person or during COVID online, and I can just personally attest to the fact that all 3 have been positively inspirational, energizing events. There's nothing quite like the energy, as anybody who's attended any live conference that's good knows. There's nothing quite like the energy generated when colleagues of different disciplines from all over the country and beyond get together to network, exchange notes, and listen to wonderful, informative lectures on topics from across the integrative spectrum. And these have traditionally been in San Diego, where the AIHM is headquartered. But this year, for a change, it's being held in Philadelphia, which is a lot closer and easier to get to for those on my side of the country. And this year's theme is Integrative and Whole Health, where science meets body, mind, and spirit. Maybe the best news is that for everyone who registered for tonight's talk, if you use the code Cleveland Chapter, no spaces, when registering for the conference, you'll be able to take advantage of the early bird rate, which otherwise has long since expired. So that's about the conference. You can take the poster down, Serena. Thank you. And I just want to mention that tonight's event is being recorded, so you'll be able to view it again, or for those who are missing the live event tonight, see it on the AIHM's YouTube channel. And I'll send an email to everyone who has registered to let you know when the recording does become available. Please use the chat for questions and comments, and we'll get to as many as possible. And the last thing to mention is that we probably have a larger cohort of non-professionals, non-practitioners here tonight, just because of the nature, the relevance of the topic, that so many people have vision and eye concerns. So we welcome everybody, but because this is the AIHM, we are going to give precedence to questions and comments from practitioners. You don't have to be a member of the AIHM, but just from the professional side. And if we do have time at the end, we'll certainly be able to entertain some comments and questions from the non-professional audience. I just want to ask that you do not ask about your individual health concerns, that is, your individual health situation. We obviously can't address anybody's particular circumstances, but please ask general questions about conditions or anything else that's relevant. And with that, I am going to happily cede the floor to Doctors Grossman and Banik.
Dr. Banik, why don't you go first?
All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank both Doctors Geller and Grossman for inviting me to participate in tonight's session. It's truly an honor to be here and share some of my insights with you, pun intended. A little bit of background about me. So I am a board-certified ophthalmologist. I'm also fellowship trained in neuro-ophthalmology. And most of my initial career, I spent in academic medicine. I was full-time faculty, working with residents, fellows, doing research, doing surgeries. And that's really how I thought I would end up doing what I would do for the rest of my career, is staying in academic medicine. But unfortunately, a health condition affected my quality of life significantly. And it really opened my eyes to other avenues of treatment that were not taught to me in traditional medical school or ophthalmology training or neuro-ophthalmology training. And I'll just share this with you. So I had migraines, and basically, if you've ever had a migraine, you know that it is not enjoyable to suffer from a migraine attack. I ended up having chronic migraine, and this was about 10 years ago. I had chronic migraine, and I woke up every day with a migraine, and I went to sleep every day with a migraine. And I tried all the traditional pharmacologic methods, and nothing worked. And at some point, I just said, you know what? I can't take any more of these drugs anymore. I need to find a better way that's going to work for me. So I started to do research. And lo and behold, there is a lot out there about nutraceuticals, diet, lifestyle, exercise, mindset, spirituality. There is so much out there about how to treat migraine. And I was never talked to about any of these aspects of care by my providers, who are some of the best known migraine specialists in New York City, where I live. So basically, my mind was open to this. And then I got introduced to functional medicine. One of my colleagues said, if you're trying to heal your migraines, you should attend a functional medicine conference by the Institute for Functional Medicine, learn some aspects of, how you can support mitochondrial health, how you can manage inflammation, perhaps toxin exposure, and see how things go. So I went to my first conference, and I was blown away by all the things that I had never been taught in medical school. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try to apply some of these aspects of care into my own health journey. And ultimately, it wasn't overnight, but ultimately things started to get better. And my migraines, instead of being 29, 30 days a month, went down to about 2 to 3 days a month using some of these strategies, which was remarkable, like incredible, better than any pharmaceutical drug. So I realized, okay, I'm a neuro-ophthalmologist. I treat migraine all the time in my patients. I'm a migraine sufferer myself. I'm going to try these methods now in my patients. I've tried them on myself. I'm going to try them on my patients. And lo and behold, people started to improve, not with drugs, but with nutrition and lifestyle and mindset, etc. And so I ended up getting certified in functional medicine. And then what I realized was that I can apply these principles not just to migraine patients, but to patients with eye conditions. And I said, why not? I was never taught this, but I can apply the same principles. And I started to apply those same principles to my patients with macular degeneration, with glaucoma, with dry eye, with some pretty rare optic nerve disorders, hereditary optic neuropathies, etc. And a lot of them either stabilized or they got better. And so now I'm a complete convert into the world of integrative and functional medicine. I've gotten my certification. I really, truly believe it's a combination of both worlds. It's not choosing one or the other. It's bringing everything together, taking the best of everything. And that's how I now care for my patients. And that's what I strive to also educate my peers about, because a lot of ophthalmologists, optometrists have never been taught some of these principles. And it is really my mission in this stage of my career to share this with as many practitioners as possible. So that's my bio and introduction. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Banik. Okay, I'm going to give you, hold on, the brief version, because I could just talk about how I got to where I was for at least a half hour. But the main thing is the why, the curiosity. My myopia, I was legally blind growing up. From third grade, I started wearing glasses, which is a whole reason on a physical, emotion, and psychospiritual reason. Now, I'll be 70 next month, and I passed the driving test. I'm 2025 without glasses. I can read without glasses. So one of my mentors was a yoga-based eye doctor, and I went through vision therapy with him for 2 years. So I've seen vision improve. I was always interested, and one of the things about the path is that anybody who's in integrative medicine knows they got the sign. They got the sign of, what should I do? I remember the moment in time when I decided to become an optometrist. First, I decided not to go to medical school because, even though I was pre-med, because I couldn't deal with anybody dying on me. Because even if I gave them the right medication, I would be a basket case. And I actually did hospice training to become a hospice volunteer because I needed to work with death. But here I was. I played on the basketball team as a freshman in college. I'm getting my ankle taped. And I remember it, that moment in time, those signs in our life that tells us what path we should go on. And I said to the trainer, I was a freshman, hey, Al, what are you doing next year? He goes, I'm going to optometry school. You make enough money, you don't make a lot of money, but nobody dies on you. I go, but he said, but you got to be good in math and science. I said, oh my God, I went to a math and science high school in New York City called Stuyvesant High School. And guess what about Stuyvesant High School? 90% of the kids there were nearsighted, which we'll go into in depth on many different levels, maybe not today, but for those of you interested. Because, if you look in the textbooks on nearsightedness, they go genetic. Oh, come on. Is there a reason that 90% of accountants are nearsighted, but less than 10% of farmers? Is how we use and abuse our eyes one of the reasons of what happens? Why do juvenile delinquents have less than 10%? But at Stuyvesant, the math and science high school, 90% of us were nearsighted. So anyway, I got the sign that I was supposed to go to optometry school. Then, 15 years later, I'm at a friend's house. And in the middle of her living room was the book, The Web That Has No Weaver, one of the first books on Chinese medicine. I'd already finished paying my loans for optometry school. The book looked at me. I looked at the book. I said, oh my God, I got to go to acupuncture school now? So as Peter said, how many crazy eye doctors would then go 3 to 4 years to acupuncture school? Well, I got the sign and I didn't have a choice. The sign said go. I didn't even know why I was going. I just knew I had to go. But what it did for me, it just gave me a whole new medical model. And you know what that medical model is? In which all of you, I'm sure, understand. In regular medicine, we look at how does X cause Y. In Chinese medicine, we look at what is the relationship between X and Y. And I believe that all disease in the body-mind has to do with relationships to the sky, to the atmosphere, to our friends, to our family. And the goal of every Chinese medicine acupuncture treatment is balance and harmony. So besides going into the details of why I became nearsighted and my background, and like Dr. Banik said, right now, after 45 years of practice, my goal is to be in service to try to share the information that myself, Dr. Banik, and other people like us have put together to help people's eyes. And I will go into, I think now it's time for me to go into my slide presentation. And then Dr. Banik will do a slide presentation on nutrition. I'll do Chinese medicine. And we're going to give you as much as we can in this next hour and a half. And that's what I say to my patients. I said, excuse me, I'm going to apologize to begin with. I don't mean to overwhelm you. And I will simplify it once I'm done. But I want to give you everything I know, and then we'll try to make it simple so that you can take it in. And so we're going to start. Integrative medicine and vision. I have a problem with the word alternative medicine and vision. It's integrative. It's not one or the other. Chinese medicine's been around for 5,000 years, and you know why? Because it works, okay? So integrative medicine and vision is what we're talking about. Next slide. So these are a couple of my books. Some of you who are old enough maybe remember those 3D books with the 3D pictures that you relax your eyes and a hidden picture comes out. Well, I wrote 2 of them, and I'm the medical consultant to Magic Eye. But you know what those books do? Those books relax your brain. Those books put you in alpha. Those books can help your vision. Those 3D images. And that is part of my natural vision exercise program. Greater Vision, one of my other books published by McGraw-Hill, goes into the physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects of vision. As you'll see in one of my slides, Shakespeare wasn't that off base when he said the eyes are the windows to the soul. And my first book on natural eye care, about 25 years ago, where I looked into nutrition with a colleague of mine, Dr. Glenn Swartout. And then about 5-6 years ago, we did the expanded version, next slide, which is 800 pages, 2,000 peer review references. That's right. The research is there. Dr. Banik knows that. She's one of the top researchers and leading people on nutrition in this country. So nutrition, diet, what we put in our body affects our eyes. From diet, lifestyle changes, targeted supplementation, super important. Next slide. Light has called forth one organ to become its like. Because remember, vision is based on light. And thus, the eye is formed by the light. And for the light, so that the inner light may emerge to meet the outer light. So what does that mean to me? Your inner vision affects your outer vision. Your outer vision affects your inner vision. I was always curious. Where did this nearsighted come from? Where did that strabismus come from? Why the right eye, not the left eye? Very interesting, the why. And you know what happened when I was in school and I said, excuse me, why they get a cataract in their right eye before the left eye? You know what the answer was? Why do you want to know why? I said, because I do. We're going to treat it the same way. We're going to take out that cataract and we're going to put in a lens implant. But I want to know why, because that's just a signal of something that's going on a deeper level. So if it's right eye versus left eye, That's where Chinese medicine comes in. Right eye, usually father eye, male eye, left eye, usually mother eye, feminine eye, yin yang. So we're looking for the why. Next slide. Maybe because, I mean, you see that I got a haircut, but my hair gets pretty crazy sometimes. And one of my heroes is Albert Einstein. I have no special talents, but I am only passionately curious. And what is the common theme in this community of integrative medicine people who are listening tonight? Is that we are curious. We are curious. We do not treat high blood pressure. We do not treat diabetes. We do not treat macular degeneration. We treat the person behind the eyes, behind the body. We are looking at the root causes. That's why functional medicine is so important. But curiosity is the key. Next slide. Now, those of you who email me, and if you have any questions and you want to email me, my email is drgrossman2020@gmail.com. But I sign all my emails with this. The question is not what you look at, but what you see. Next. Next slide. Oh, of course. An ounce of prevention is worth a
I'm
pound of
sorry,
cure.
Dr. Grossman, excuse me, but somebody just put something into the chat to say that your voice was being garbled. So I don't know if that's something on your end, or I hear you fine, actually. So,
Oh, okay.
but I'm just putting, okay, other people saying they can hear clearly. So it must be,
Yeah, must be
that.
them.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No problem. So think about it. This is where functional medicine comes in, and I can't wait for Dr. Banik's lecture. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Let's be proactive. Let's not wait around for macular degeneration and chronic disease. Let's put things into effect now. Next. To fight a disease after it has occurred is like trying to dig a well when one is thirsty, forging a weapon once war is started. Again, preventative medicine. Next slide. As I said before, the eyes are the windows to the soul. In Chinese medicine, what do we say when we look at the eyes? We say it's the Shen, the spirit, the pilot light. Yes, the eyes are the windows to the soul. Next slide. Vision is the art of seeing what's invisible to others. That's why I love doing the magic eye. All of a sudden, a hidden picture comes out. Let's try to see the invisible. Next slide. And you know, what's talking about anything without the Dalai Lama? In order to carry a positive action, we must develop a positive vision. You know, if you believe it, you can conceive it. So I really, I integrate affirmations with my patients. Very important. We have to have a positive action and a positive thought process. Next slide. So art. I believe that the only thing that's going to save this world is art and music. So anytime, actually my son's performing tonight. He's a musician and he's performing tonight. So I had to miss it. But anyway, this sculptor, my total conscious search in life has been for a new seeing, a new image, a new insight. The search not only closed the object, but the in-between spaces. So again, as integrative medicine practitioners, we're always looking for a new way to look at things. Next slide. Mark Twain. And this is where we get in trouble in medicine. It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. It's like, why are we giving the same thing if we think that, it's not working? So it's what you know for sure that it just ain't so. There's always another way of looking at things. Next slide. And this is something, I have a thing in my life, I have to learn something new every day, because I believe the more I know that I don't know. So, I'm always curious. Next slide. And again, this is one of the integrative medicine tenets. Imagine a world, and I know all of you here believe this, oriented towards healing rather than disease, where physicians believed in the natural healing capacity of human beings and emphasize prevention above treatment. And this is what I work with all my patients. In such a world, doctors and patients would be partners working towards the same ends. Next slide. So I'm going to do 3 premises, and then I'm going to give this over to Dr. Banik. For every patient, I say 3 things. One is neurologically, embryologically, physiologically, the eye is brain tissue. If we believe, and science has shown about the neuroplasticity of the brain, then we know we have neuroplasticity of the eye, so the eye can change. Now, next, if we know that the gut-brain relationship, the microbiome and the brain, then there's a gut-eye relationship. And the NIH has done studies of it. So of course, there's a gut-eye relationship. And then the third part I tell them, in multiple personality disorders, many of the different personalities had different prescriptions. So we start with those 3 premises, and then we go into treatment, because we are not ready to just do this, which means like, oh, you've got the beginning of a cataract. And the patient says to the doctor, oh my God, I've got the beginning of a cataract. What am I going to do? And what does the doctor say? Oh, we're going to watch it. And when it gets worse, we'll do an operation. Oh, you've got a little bit of a high eye pressure. Oh, you're a glaucoma suspect. We're going to watch that too. And when it gets a little worse, we'll put you on medication to do surgery, because that's all we have in our toolkit. But there are things we can do as integrative medical practitioners, whether you're naturopath, medical doctors, and this is what myself and Dr. Banik want to share. There's things you can do while you're watching it. And I'm going to give this over to Dr. Banik. Thank you so much for your attention. And thank you, Peter, with deep gratitude for asking us to share what we do.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Grossman, for that beautiful and eloquent introduction to an integrative approach to vision. You mentioned a few times about prevention, and prevention can help us to save our sight. And I would argue that the number one thing that one can do to prevent eye disease is to incorporate nutrition that will support our eye health from within, from inside out. So it's not something you're putting on your eyes. It's not wearing those blue blocking glasses or whatever else you may do. It has to come from within. And so the title of my short presentation here is Eye on Nutrition Going Beyond Carrots. You can predict probably what I'm going to be saying to you here. And also, I want to reiterate what Dr. Grossman said, that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. With nutrition, one can stave off macular degeneration. And I will show you some of the data behind that, some of the science behind that, and what one needs to do. With the proper nutrition, one can decrease the symptoms and signs of dry eye. And with proper nutrients in one's diet, one can significantly decrease the risk of glaucoma and vision loss. So let's get into this. And also, of course, Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said once, let food be thy medicine and let medicine be thy food. So that's really the theme of this segment right here. So when we're talking about nutrition, the vast majority of people, if I ask my patients, if I ask, the average person on the street, what is the most important food for eye health? They will immediately think of carrots. And carrots are important, absolutely. That is true for eye health. But if you eat a carrot a day, if you eat 5 carrots a day, if you eat 10 carrots a day, there is no guarantee that you will have perfect vision. So my point being here is that we need to have more than just one food in our diet to support our eyes. Carrots are important. They provide beta carotene that gets converted by the eye into vitamin A, which is important for our retinas to transduce light. That is important, but there is so much more that our eyes need. Now, before I tell you, I'm going to share with you the nutrients that our eyes really need to stay healthy beyond carrots. I just want to share with you an interesting historical tidbit of where this whole urban myth about carrots and perfect vision came from. So some of you may already know this little bit of history, but maybe perhaps some of you don't. But the whole connection between carrots and eye health began during World War II. And what was happening is that the German Nazi planes were coming in over England and they were dropping their bombs in the dead of night. So it was complete blackness, darkness, they were dropping bombs. Somehow, though, the British pilots in the Air Force were able to detect those planes in the sky and shoot them down. And the Germans could not figure out how were the British able to detect their planes and shoot down their planes. So the British started spreading this rumor that their pilots were all eating carrots, and that gave them excellent night vision. And it was because of the carrots that they were able to detect those planes in the sky and shoot them down. What happened? Basically, the German pilots began eating carrots. Many farmers began growing carrots, and it ended up that there was a carrot surplus during World War II because of this myth being spread. Now, again, carrots are important. Yes, they're an excellent source of vitamin A, but the secret weapon that the British had was actually radar technology. They had developed radar technology at this time that was allowing them to detect the planes in the sky and shoot them down. But anyway, this whole connection between carrots and vision health began during this time, and it still is propagated today. Probably many of you, perhaps you've heard your parents say this or grandparents say this, like eat your carrots, it will give you good vision. What I'm going to let you know though is that carrots are the tip of the iceberg. And I'm going to backtrack here a little bit. The eye is a very complex organ. It has over 40 different parts that work together to give us our vision, and some of them are labeled here. Just a few of them, like the cornea, the lens, the ciliary body, the retina, the optic nerve, all the blood vessels. These are all important parts of the eye. Each one of these different parts of the eye has different cell types. There were over 200 cell types in the eye. So again, extremely complex. And what does that all mean? It means that the eye has unique metabolic demands. It is very metabolically active, it's very diverse in its tissues, and so it needs a diversity of nutrients, not just beta carotene, not just vitamin A. These are just some of the nutrients that different parts of the eye need. Now, I don't expect anyone to memorize this or understand every little tidbit here, but I wanted to just give you an overview here. It is a very busy slide, so I apologize for that. But the point I want to get across here is that just for the ocular surface, for our conjunctiva, our cornea, our tear film, for our lacrimal gland, just for that, we need antioxidants like vitamins A, C, and E. We need fatty acids like the omega-3s, DHA, EPA, ALA, and perhaps even GLA, which is an omega-6. We need a variety of minerals. We need collagen for a healthy cornea, basically amino acids to build that collagen. And of course, we need water. This is just the ocular surface. We're just starting at the very front part of the eye. Now let's go a step back, a little bit further back. Let's look at the lens. These are the nutrients that are important for lens health. We need, again, antioxidants, vitamins A, C, and E. We need glutathione. We need the macular carotenoids. Now, perhaps you've heard about the macular carotenoids. That may sound familiar, lutein and zeaxanthin. I will explain a lot more about them in just a few slides. So be a little bit patient here. And then if we go further back into the retina, we see again, there's a variety of nutrients and you start to see some duplication. So each part of the eye has its unique nutrient needs. And luckily, there is duplication between various parts of the eye. So if you get these nutrients, they're not just supporting one structure or one physiologic mechanism, they are supporting multiple ocular structures along the way and multiple chemical reactions, et cetera, that give us our vision. And then finally, these are the nutrients that are important for the optic nerve. We need a range of B vitamins. Again, we need antioxidants, we need minerals, omegas, we need vitamin D for our optic nerve health. And there's a few other things like coenzyme Q10 and acetylcholine. So this is an overview of what the eye needs. Now, again, don't expect anyone here to memorize any of this, but I wanted to just give you the overall the concept is that the eye is complex and there are many nutrients. And if you actually count them up, there are over 30 nutrients. Now, I talk about all these nutrients I have some books as well. So in my book, Beyond Carrots, Best Foods for Eye Health A to Z, I talk about all 30 nutrients. And actually, at the end of today's talk, I'm going to allow you to access one of the resources I have, which lists all the nutrients and why they're important and some of the ways that you can get those nutrients. But in my book, I also go through to simplify things. Again, there are 30 nutrients overall, or over 30. I divide them up into classes. So there are the macular carotenoids, omega fatty acids, and antioxidants. And in the interest of time, normally when I give this talk, it's about an hour lecture, but in the interest of time, I won't be able to talk about all three classes. So I'll just talk about the first one, which is macular carotenoids, because perhaps along the way in your training, you've learned about omega fatty acids, you've heard about antioxidants, but I wanted to really highlight the one that's so important for eye health that you may not be that familiar with, or many people may not be familiar with. If you are, congratulations, kudos to you. But for the majority of people, the macular carotenoids are kind of this nebulous type of category of nutrients. Maybe they're related to beta carotene, vitamin A. Many people don't quite understand them. So there are 3 macular carotenoids. They also have this name called, the scientific name is the xanthophyll carotenoids, because they have this yellowish orange pigment to them. And yes, they are part of the carotenoid class. They are cousins to beta carotene and alpha carotene and vitamin A. But the 3 that are important for eye health are lutein, zeaxanthin, and mesozeaxanthin. Now, this image that I'm showing you here is a very enlarged, high-resolution picture, an infrared picture of the retina, and the center of the retina, which is called the macula. And these pigments, these carotenoids, our bodies cannot make these carotenoids, so we need to get them exogenously, either through diet or through supplementation if our diet is not adequate. But when we ingest these carotenoids, our bodies selectively deposit them into the macula in this bullseye pattern. Okay, so you see here, the yellow is on the outside, that represents lutein. And then the middle circle is the kind of the smallest circle, that's zeaxanthin, which is this slightly orange color or yellowish orange color. And the center part, which is the center of the macula that's responsible for our 20/20 vision, that's where mesozeaxanthin gets deposited. And what these carotenoids do is they literally are deposited into the retina, and they act as our natural shields against light. Light can cause a lot of toxicity, whether that's UV light or short wavelength blue light that's emitted from a lot of our screens. And the best way to prevent against light toxicity is to make sure that one has enough macular carotenoids in one's diet or take a supplement. So these are like our natural sunglasses. These carotenoids are like our natural blue blockers. Now, they are antioxidants, so they're very long molecules. They have a lot of electrons that they can donate to neutralize free radicals, decrease oxidative stress that can lead to things like macular degeneration. Perhaps even cataract prevention can be accomplished with having enough macular carotenoids in one's diet. And of course, blue light. And there is plenty of science to support all of this. Dr. Grossman mentioned his book with his many 2,000 references. My book also has a lot of references into studies done both in animal models as well as human models, looking at how these macular carotenoids protect our vision or can protect our vision. Now, I'm just going to highlight a few of the studies because I think these are very relevant and will give you some actionable strategies. So the first paper that really highlighted the macular carotenoids was by Joanna Seddon, who's a leading researcher in macular degeneration. She published this paper in 1994 with her colleagues, and she looked at dietary carotenoid intake, vitamins A, C, and E, and their relationship to macular degeneration. And to summarize this study, what I want to point out is that the researchers found that the highest quintile of carotenoid intake had a 43% lower risk for macular degeneration compared to individuals who were consuming in the lowest quintile. So one needs to be in the highest quintile of intake of these macular carotenoids. And I'll share with you some of the foods that are richest in these nutrients. And specifically, they looked at specifically amongst the carotenoids, lutein and zeaxanthin. The more one ingested lutein and zeaxanthin in their regular diet, the lower their risk was for macular degeneration. 43%, better than any supplement, better than any drug we have on the market currently for treating macular degeneration. Diet trumps it all. That is my message here. All right, so then subsequent to that, there have been many other studies, but this is perhaps the largest study. In this study, it was published in 2015, again, looking at intake of lutein and zeaxanthin and other carotenoids. In this study, over 100,000 participants were followed for over 26 years. And the researchers looked at plasma carotenoid scores, or actually they were predicted based off of food intake questionnaires. And they found that, and again, I'm going to summarize here in the interest of time, higher carotenoid intake was associated with an inverse risk of advanced macular degeneration by 40%. So similar to the previous study, 43%, 40%. So we're seeing a trend here that's been corroborated by not just one study, multiple studies, and these are large, large studies. Next, how much do you need to take in on a daily basis to try to get up to that highest quintile of intake? So on average, it's estimated that people should be getting so for lutein, 6.5 to 12 milligrams a day. Some researchers would even argue 20 milligrams a day. So let's say 6.5 to 20 milligrams a day of lutein should be your daily intake. Now, daily, not weekly, daily intake. For zeaxanthin, it's estimated we need about 1 to 2 milligrams a day. For mesozeaxanthin, it's not readily found in nature, and we believe that most of our mesozeaxanthin comes from conversion of lutein into mesozeaxanthin, so there is no recommended daily intake. What do most people get? Now, this is really, really quite surprising to me. And it's very unfortunate because this is an area where we could easily have tremendous impact as practitioners by simply telling our patients to include more lutein and zeaxanthin. Instead of getting, again, 6.5 to maybe 10 to 20 milligrams a day, most people, especially those on a Western diet, are getting only 1 to 2 milligrams a day. There's a huge gap between what we need and what we're getting. For zeaxanthin, we should be getting 1 to 2 milligrams a day. Most people are getting less than 1 milligram a day. So how can we boost that? Perhaps the best sources of lutein and zeaxanthin are the leafy green vegetables, whether it's spinach, kale, arugula, romaine lettuce, Swiss chard, dandelion greens, have your pick. Any of these have very high concentrations of lutein and zeaxanthin. But to get enough, you have to have probably about 3 to 5 cups a day. So if you're eating a plant-rich diet, which hopefully many of us are, we're having lots of plants in our diet, you're easily getting this. But if you're not normally having many plants in your diet, you really should strive to increase your intake on a gradual basis to try to strive to get 3 to 5 cups a day, loosely packed. Now, if you're having it cooked, you can have more condensed, lesser volume, but loosely packed 3 to 5 cups a day. If you're not a big fan of the leafy greens, there are other foods that are rich in these macular carotenoids. So bell peppers, particularly the orange and the yellow ones, have very, very high levels of lutein and zeaxanthin. Perhaps orange bell pepper is the best. So if you go to the grocery store, don't go for the green ones. I know those are usually the easiest found, least expensive. Choose the orange and yellow ones. Also, egg yolk. If you eat eggs, don't throw away the yolk. That's where the beauty is. That's where the magic happens, is in the egg yolk. So the beautiful orange yellow color of the egg yolk actually comes from lutein and zeaxanthin. So make sure you're eating the yolk. And then corn, actually the scientific name for corn is zea mays, and that's where zeaxanthin came from zea mays. So corn is a wonderful source. And then there's some spices as well, like paprika and cayenne pepper. So these are sampling of the many, many foods that have these nutrients. Again, in my book, Beyond Carrots, there's a lot more. There's over 40 foods that provide some of these nutrients that you can choose from. So you don't have to be siloed into eating only one thing every single day. You should have diversity in your diet. Now, in the interest of time, I can go through this very, very quickly, and then Dr. Grossman's gonna share some of his insights into Chinese medicine, and then we're gonna do some exercises. But let me share these 4 strategies I tell my patients on how to put together an eye healthy diet. Now, this is an overview again, and I'm gonna go through this quickly, but these are actionable strategies that you can do yourself and you should be sharing with your patients and clients. So number 1, eat a plant-rich diet. So we know that there's one study on the Mediterranean diet and its association with macular degeneration. We know that people who are on a Mediterranean diet eat mainly vegetables, fruits, nuts, seeds, legumes. They had a lower risk of neovascular AMD by 47%. So simply by following a Mediterranean style diet, you can lower your risk. But my strategy here is eat lots of plants. If you don't already, include more plants in your diet. And again, there's a wide variety that are shown here that you can choose from. My goal, myself and for my family and for my patients, is to tell them, I always tell people, try to strive for 5 cups a day. And for some people, that may seem overwhelming, but it's actually not that difficult to do. You can also include, if you do have animal products, you can include some fish for its omega benefits and eggs, again, for the lutein and zeaxanthin benefit. But plant-rich is the way to go. I'm not saying you have to be plant-based or vegetarian, vegan. Plant-rich is the way to go. An easy way to do this is one of my favorite recipes, and I do share a lot of recipes in my book, is to have a daily green smoothie. And in this, simple, 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 you can do this, have one a day, and your eye nutrition needs are met all in one go. It's not that complex. 3 cups of leafy greens, 1 cup of berries, and the darker the berry, the better. So blueberries, blackberries. You can also include some raspberries, goji berries in there, strawberries even. 1 to 2 tablespoons of seeds, whether that be chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds. These are great sources of protein plus other nutrients and omegas. 1/4 cup of nuts. I prefer pistachios because pistachios also have some lutein and zeaxanthin. You can add some milk of your choice, whether that be a plant-based milk or dairy milk or camel milk, goat milk, sheep's milk. There's lots of milks on the market now. If you'd like, you can add some protein powder and some ice, mix it up, blend it up, and there you go in one. I would say this is probably going to make more than just an 8 ounce, probably closer to like 16 ounces with this amount, but 16-ounce smoothie will give you your entire daily eye health nutrition needs all in one go. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to think about the 30 nutrients. You don't have to think about the different parts of your eye. It's a simple addition to your daily diet that will get you everything you need. So please take a screenshot of this because this is, if you were to sum up my part of the talk all in one, this is it, this slide. Okay, next, eat the rainbow. Don't always eat the same color all the time. So you may love spinach, but you need to mix it up. Have different shades of green. Have some oranges and yellows and blues and purples, even blacks. You can even include some browns and whites in there, but eat the rainbow. And again, that's going to give you the 30 plus nutrients. When I say eat the rainbow, this is not what I'm talking about. Not artificial colors, not artificial flavors, natural whole foods, right? Natural antioxidants, natural bioflavonoids, natural polyphenols. That's what I'm talking about. One thing I love to share with my patients is this rule of 21. And I really apologize, I'm going very fast here, but I want to try to get this in before we go on to the next section. The rule of 21, most people eat 3 meals a day, 7 days a week. So that's 21 meals in a week. So strive to eat the rainbow, meaning eat 21 different colors during the course of the week. If you include 21 different colors, you're easily getting many of those nutrients that your eyes need to stay healthy. So strive for the rule of 21. I love to share this with the families because then they make it a challenge in their household. They'll put up a chart on their refrigerator and they'll count how many colors each person had, and it can be a fun challenge for you to do as a family. Number 3, avoid sad foods. Now, you're probably all, as integrative practitioners, you're probably all very, very familiar with this. SAD stands for Standard American Diet. Ultra processed, high simple sugars, and high omega-6 unhealthy fats. Try to avoid those. There's actually a study that showed that individuals who had high level of SAD type foods in their diet had a significantly higher risk of developing progression of macular degeneration. So SAD is associated with inflammation, and inflammation is a driver of many eye diseases. So to prevent those eye diseases, stay away from the SAD type foods if you can, please. And then finally, I'm going to move ahead here, is to support a healthy gut. Dr. Grossman mentioned the microbiome, the gut microbiome. And we're just learning about the link between the gut microbiome and our eye health. There's so much fascinating research going on in the areas of dry eye. I'm going to skip over here. Dry eye, macular degeneration, uveitis, which is inflammation of the eye, and glaucoma. And so we're just at the tip of the iceberg in terms of our understanding of these eye diseases and how alterations in the gut microbiome, gut dysbiosis, may contribute to some of these eye diseases or trigger some of these eye diseases. So strive to have a healthy gut. The best way to do that is probiotics, live probiotics in foods, and prebiotics. And I think with that, I'm going to just fast forward through some of these slides because, again, in the interest of time, there are many probiotic and prebiotic foods you can choose from. But in summary, what I would like for you all to take away from this is that nutrition is key for eye health. We need a diversity of foods, nutrients. You can get that diversity easily by having a green smoothie. Make sure you're getting your macular carotenoids and try to follow these 4 strategies for an eye healthy diet. Again, plant rich, 21 colors a week, avoid sad foods, and support your gut microbiome. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Grossman. But if anyone is interested, also just before I do that, these are my 2 books. Beyond Carrots is my first book, Best Foods for Eye Health A to Z. I go through in detail what these nutrients are, why we need them, which parts of the eyes need which nutrients and why. And then I share with you 40 plus foods and then some recipes as well. And then my cookbook has over 160 recipes that are simple, easy to make, that will get you the nutrition your eyes need. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Banik. Oh my goodness, I'm exhausted. That was fantastic. So as we know, what we eat and lifestyle affects us. And again, going back to what happens in regular eye care. And what I always tell people when they come and see me, I say, you know, you're coming to see me, but you need to put your team together. You need to have your ophthalmologist. You need to have your nutritionist or your functional medicine doctor. Sometimes people like Dr. Banik or both. That's great. But what team do we use? And I'll go through the different times and I use different people for my teams. Second, what I didn't mention before, yes, we looked at what is the relationship, like we said, not that X causes Y, but in Chinese medicine, what is the relationship? So let's go back to what I said happens in regular eye care. When the doctor looks in the eye and says, oh, beginning of macular degeneration or glaucoma or cataracts, and we're going to watch this. And the doctor or the patient says, anything you can do while you're watching it? And the doctor says, no, we will just watch it. And if it gets worse, we know what to do. But remember, in heart disease, Dean Ornish published a study that lifestyle, meditation, yoga, and diet can reverse heart disease. So there is something when you have a little bit of a heart problem. We just don't have to wait and take a statin or till it gets worse and then a bypass. The same thing, proactive. As Dr. Banik said in the beginning, prevention is worth a pound of cure. So as I said, I got the signal, I got the voice that I should study Chinese medicine. And I said, oh my goodness, I don't know why, but then I went and then I knew the why. And now I'm on faculty at the Pacific College of Acupuncture, and I'm teaching a class on vision and Chinese medicine. So again, how does Chinese medicine help with vision? Next slide. Next slide. Okay, again, the Chinese medical approach deals with the body as a whole rather than individual parts. Everything is connected. Vision can be influenced by all other organs of the body. In Chinese medicine, we usually say the liver, the wood element, the liver gallbladder relates to the eyes. But in Chinese medicine, all the meridians go to the eyes, and all the meridians go through the heart. Interesting. Remember that point. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Again, acupuncture, some of us in the class are acupuncturists, but you know, to me, growing up in New York City, it's like the New York City subway system. Oh, there's a lot of backup on 42nd Street and Grand Central, so that's going to back up the flow of qi, the flow of energy. So again, it's the stuck energy that causes the issue. So there are also special acupuncture treatments for the eye. But again, when I work with acupuncture, I have to see where is the energy blocked that's not letting the energy come to the eye. Next slide. Again, in our class, we will, in our program, if we do it next year, when we do it next year, or eventually, I've been told to be positive and not say if in my life anymore. We look at the 5 elements. And I believe that we are all multiple personalities. I believe it's just a level of degree. And when somebody says, oh, I'm more of a wood type or an earth type, we have all 5 elements inside of us. Some are more prone than others for us. But again, we have the generation cycle and the control cycle. What we're looking at when we look at Chinese medicine, like I said in the beginning, balance and harmony. And what this does, and again, I'm a little biased towards Chinese medicine, it could be Ayurvedic medicine. When you create this foundation, working with Chinese medicine, guess what? Working with the diet, working with the nutrition, that will even work even better because we're having a better terrain for the nutrients to work with. Next slide. So what does acupuncture do? Actually, functional MRIs had showed that it increases blood flow to the eyes, measured by an ocular Doppler functional MRI. So guess what? They did a study, I think it was in University of California at Berkeley, where they put needles in certain points on the foot, bladder 60, certain points, and guess what? They did a PET scan on the visual cortex and it lit up. Wow, I did a point on the foot and it lit up and helped my vision here. What I tell my patients are, yeah, we put the light switch here and the light gets turned on over there. That's right. It's energy. So Chinese medicine, acupuncture, and this special kind of acupuncture out of Denmark, and there's a lot of practitioners in the United States doing it, called microacupuncture 48, putting needles in the hands and the feet and around the eyes. But you can bring energy to the eyes and increase blood flow and qi flow, because a lot of times it's due to stuck energy and stuck, as Dr. Banik said, mitochondrial energy. What is mitochondria? Qi. So as we increase it through acupuncture, it'll even have some of those other nutrients work better. Next slide. So acupuncture helps vision, increases blood flow to the eye, stimulates nerve cells, charges dormant retinal cells, regulates the autonomic nervous system, promotes a parasympathetic response, and again, treats both condition and underlying cause. Next slide. A colleague of mine was part of the study, Indy Rosenfarb. They did a study at Johns Hopkins University showing acupuncture working with retinitis pigmentosa and how that could help. Next slide. So again, we talk about the liver being the main organ system opens to the eyes, supporting overall flow of energy and circulation to the eyes. But the spleen meridian also nourishes the blood. So again, we have to see where the stuck energy is. So again, I'm looking as having an acupuncturist or acupressure I'll give patients to do to be part of the team, or it could be done with Ayurvedic medicine also. Next slide. So again, I tell people to do acupressure around the eyes. We have all these points around the eyes. In fact, as part of the PDF that you're going to get at the end, I have a video that my colleague Daniel L.Ac did, who's a yoga teacher, and actually myself, Dr. Banik, and Daniel, who's a yoga and Qigong teacher, are going to be giving a weekend course at Kripalu Institute for Yoga, and you'll get a video of Daniel teaching all the different acupressure points. So definitely look at the PDF we give it to you at the end. Next slide. So again, these are the kind of people I'm looking at as being part of the team. Chiropractors, osteopaths, Alexander, Feldenkrais, homeopaths, naturopathic, yoga teachers, meditation, Qigong, flower essences. Where do we get the best bang for our buck in priority as part of the team approach towards helping our vision? Next slide, if I have one. I don't know if I have another one. Okay, so so that's my brief little intro of how Chinese medicine can help with vision.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Grossman.
Should we just do questions? What do you think, Dr. Banik? And then they can get the exercises? I don't know. What do you think?
Either way, Dr. Geller, should we do a few simple eye exercises or start to take some questions?
Yeah, no, let's go through the whole rest of your presentation first.
Okay, wonderful. So we titled this talk Longevity of Vision, Seeing Forever. And there are some simple eye exercises that will really improve your visual endurance and visual performance. So we're just going to go through what some of these are, and I'll share some. And I don't know if Dr. Grossman would like to elaborate on some of the exercises that I teach. They are very, very simple. There is no need for any additional equipment except yourself. And so, and your mindset, of course. So, so the number one exercise that is so important for people to learn how to do is the blinking exercise. Now, many people don't really think too much about their blinking or their blink rate. However, when we're on screens, we don't blink as much as we should. Normally, most people blink about 15 to 20 times a minute. But when we're on screens, we only blink about 3 to 5 times per minute. So that's about a 75% decrease in how frequently we're blinking. And what happens when we don't blink? Our eyes get dry, they get tired. We can develop eye strain, we can develop headaches. So simply by doing this blinking exercise, you can improve your visual performance and endurance, particularly when you're on screens, or even if you're reading. Even if you're reading a book, sometimes your eyes may get fatigued. So it's very simple, and there's a 3-step process to this blinking exercise. First is you want to just close your eyes gently. Don't squeeze, but just close. And appreciate how your eyelids touch, how they come together, and what that sensation is like when they're touching. Now, step number 2 is to squeeze the eyelids for 2 seconds. So you're going to first close for 2 seconds, squeeze for 2 seconds, and then very gently open your eyes for 2 seconds. And then you're going to repeat this exercise. Now, why does this work? Well, number one, when you close your eyes, you're spreading your tear film over your cornea, over your conjunctiva. You're lubricating your eyes. And that is so important to prevent dry eye, especially when we're not blinking as much. But the second step to this is also very important. We actually have an entire lacrimal pump system in our eyes. So our lacrimal gland up here helps to produce tears. And then the tears flow kind of at an angle, and then they flow out from the eye from our puncta, which are right here by our nose. And so by doing this forceful squeeze, you're engaging that entire lacrimal pump system and getting your tears secreted, but then also flowing and then also draining from the eye. So it's a whole, imagine like a windshield. You first spray your windshield and then you wipe the windshield. It's kind of that concept. So very, very simply, do this three-step blinking exercise. Number one, close your eyes gently. Number two, squeeze. And then number three, gently open your eyes. And do this, plan to do this when you're on screens. Perhaps take a break every 20 to 30 minutes and do this exercise. And you will see your visual comfort level will go up significantly because you're lubricating your eyes. You can actually do a few repetitions of this. So I usually recommend, I mean, it's very short. It only takes 6 seconds total, but I would recommend doing at least 10 repetitions when you're doing your break from the computer. So that's how I teach blinking exercises. Dr. Grossman, would you like to add anything or slight, maybe a variation of this that you recommend?
Yeah, in the PDF that you'll get, we talk about the 5 Bs: blinking, and of course, breathing. You got to remember to breathe. And Dr. Banik will talk about breathing too. And just to set a concept, and of course, it makes sense that this morning I went to the dentist, because what does the dentist talk to you about? Dental hygiene. So what we need to do is get visual hygiene. We're asking our eyes to run a marathon every day. The average person spends over 8 to 10 hours on digital devices. So we need to have visual hygiene, and blinking and breathing are 2 of the Bs. So I'll give it back to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, so the next exercise is what I call a version of eye yoga. Now, there's various different ways to do eye yoga. You may have heard of them before, but this is perhaps the simplest way to do it. And one of the reasons to do this is because, again, many of us spend, as Dr. Grossman was saying, hours on end in front of screens, and our eyes are just focused in one direction, just in one area, whether that's straight ahead or slightly down. If we're looking at our phones, we're not really recruiting all of the eye muscles. We actually have 6 muscles behind our eyes that move our eyes in different directions. And those muscles aren't being exercised, they're not being used. And so by doing this eye yoga exercise, you will be moving your eyes in different directions to try to recruit those muscles. And initially, you may feel like it's a bit of a strain because you typically probably aren't using those muscles. But the more you do this on a regular basis, the more comfortable it will feel, and your eyes will be more relaxed. You will feel a lot more relaxed. So I'm just going to play this. This is just a little video on loop, but basically you can see that this individual is looking in one direction and then looking in all directions and then kind of rotating her eyes around in a circle. So basically you can sit with your shoulders relaxed, your neck looking or looking straight ahead. First, look to your right and hold that there for at least 3 seconds. And then gently roll your eyes all the way up. Imagine you're looking at a clock face. You're looking at the 12 o'clock position. Hold that there for about 3 seconds. Next, move your eyes to the left. So now you're looking at the 9 o'clock position on a clock face. Hold that for 3 seconds. And then gently move them down to look at the 6 o'clock position on the clock face for 3 seconds. And so by doing this rotary movement, again, you're recruiting all 6 of those eye muscles. And what I typically recommend is you do three, um, 3 repetitions clockwise and then 3 counterclockwise. And you can do this perhaps after doing the blinking exercise. It does not take long to do this exercise, but it's very, very effective at just relaxing eye strain, especially from being on screens. Again, there's lots of variations to this. You can also do this. Another variation is thinking of looking at a full clock face in front of you. So not just 3, 12, 9, and 6, but looking at all the different numbers on the clock face and looking at each number, each meridian for 3 seconds and moving around in a circle clockwise for several times and then counterclockwise several times. Dr. Grossman, would you like to add anything to eye yoga?
Oh, just the fact, like you said, I like the clock because depending on if a person has astigmatism, there'll be certain angles that the extraocular muscles, you're hitting all the different extraocular muscles, superior, inferior, oblique, medial, lateral rectus. So by doing all the different directions, you're going to really like stretch those out, and it will many times help astigmatism. And certain angles will be harder than others.
Yes, and so don't be discouraged. Initially, it may be a little challenging because you're not used to using those muscles, but keep practicing and it will get easier with time. And then the last exercise I'm going to share with you is one that I absolutely love. And this is a wonderful exercise to relax your eyes, to engage the parasympathetic system, also to let your mind see instead of your eyes or being the only organs of sight. So this is called eye palming, and I believe this was introduced by Dr. William Bates in his book, The Bates Method, I think it was published about 75, 80 years ago now. But it still persists. I mean, a lot of people still read the Bates Method and benefit from the Bates Method. But what you're going to do is you're going to gently rub your hands together, generate a little bit of heat, and then cup your palms and then cover your eyes completely while crossing your fingers. So the goal here is to cover your eyes. So cover your eyes, rest your palms on your eye sockets. Don't put pressure on your eyes. But in doing this, you're preventing any light stimuli from getting to your eyes. So it should be basically completely dark what you're looking at. And when you're doing this, again, it allows your eyes to have a break, to relax. And I oftentimes combine eye palming with, let me see if I can fast forward here, with box breathing, because this is a wonderful way to engage your breath while you're also relaxing your eyes. And for those of you who are not familiar with box breathing, imagine a box, a square basically, and with your breath, you're going to basically outline the box. So you're going to breathe in for a count of 4. So up the side of the box, so count of 4, hold for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4, and then again hold for a count of 4. So it's a cycle of 4, 4, 4, 4. Imagine a box, and you can do this while you're doing your eye palming. And it's a wonderful way to engage your parasympathetic system, especially if you're feeling a little anxious, if your vision's not clear, if you're feeling things are overwhelming, you have a lot of visual stimuli going on, or any kind of stimuli. This is a wonderful way to take a break, relax your eyes, and also put your body into a more relaxed state. So if you were to put together a sequence of this, I would first do the blinking, then do the eye yoga. So you've lubricated your eyes a little bit, then you've exercised some of those muscles, stretched out those muscles, engaged them, and then you're ending up with kind of like a cool down. This is kind of the cool down of your eye exercise regimen, would be the eye palming and box breathing. Dr. Grossman, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, box breathing, that's what they teach the Navy SEALs to be able to like really just relax during stress. But the thing that's really cool about the palming is that right here, you have like, this is like you're doing Reiki on your eyes. You're doing healing. And what is this point? Pericardium 8. So a lot of energy, healing energy, comes through the middle of your palm. So it's not just relaxing the mind, it's getting healing energy. And that's why a lot of times in yoga classes at the end, they'll do savasana. I can't say it right, but you go like this and it's like, oh, so you're not only getting the benefits from the palming, you're getting the healing energy from the pericardium, which is the heart protector. So great, thank you.
That was beautiful, Dr. Grossman. Thank you. Okay, so to sum up, we covered a lot. I'm just going to skip through this. These are our free resources. And so you get, if you scan the QR code, you'll be able to download both PDFs. Dr. Grossman is a very comprehensive resource called Advanced Vision Support. And in there, there's such a wide variety of resources. Dr. Grossman, I think you shared some of them. There are video links, other downloads that you can access beyond just this. And then the other download would be my guide, 30 plus nutrients your eyes need to stay healthy. Basically to give you a primer on ocular nutrition. So we encourage you to download these. You can just scan the QR code. I will grab the link as well if you just wanted directly to go to the link. Just give me a moment while we do that, while I do that. And in the meantime, I don't know if we'd like to open it up for any questions.
Sure, we can do that. I don't think there are too many so far, but Serena, can you see both the Q&A and the chat and read that?
Sure. I think some of these questions have been answered, but I'll read them out loud anyway. This last question, can we multitask an eye roll, eye palm, and box breathing at the same time?
That's a good question. I would probably do them independently to get the full benefits. That would be my thought, my suggestion. Because the eye palming and box breathing are more relaxation. The eye yoga is more an active exercise, and I'm not sure how well they would go together.
This latest question, what do you think of DMSO and ed light therapy for cataracts?
Dr. Grossman, do you want to start with that question?
Yeah, I have been working a lot sometimes with DMSO. There's a compounding prescription that I've given out to people using DMSO, glutathione, and vitamin C for cataracts. I probably have about, and we've also used some DMSO eye drops for floaters. I probably have about 10 to 20 people doing some DMSO work on their eyes. I do not have any peer review research on it, so that's why you don't see it on my website. But it is one of the things that I'm looking at. But I think there is probably something there, along with doing molecular hydrogen. Molecular hydrogen, there's sometimes molecular hydrogen glasses and goggles to show, to help with eyes as an anti-inflammatory. So there's a lot of things out there to try to help the eyes. But DMSO, I don't have anything definitive right now.
And to follow up with that, what is DMSO?
I can't even pronounce it.
I believe it's dimethyl sulfur oxide, I think.
Yeah.
There's definitely yeah, there we go. Dimethyl sulfur oxide. One thing I just did want to share is just be very cautious in terms of the source of your DMSO, especially because it is, I believe, Dr. Grossman, you typically give a drop formulation. Is that what you recommend? Or is it
No, I don't you can make it in a compounded pharmacy with
as a drop
DMSO,
or as an
glutathione,
oral supplement?
and vitamin C, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much experience with it, so I can't really speak to that.
And then we had a question, what are the important nutrients for the vitreous?
So the vitreous, I'll actually pull out my eye model here since I have it handy. So here's your friendly eyeball, and we're going to open it up. And inside you can see that there's a lot of different parts of the eye anatomically, but this here is the vitreous jelly. And this sits behind the lens in front of the retina, and it gives the shape of the eye. It's mainly made out of water. The vast majority of this is water, and then there are proteins in it, including collagen and hyaluronic acid. So to support that, you definitely want to have hydration, but also collagen building blocks, which are proteins. Now, some people may have floaters, and so I don't know if that's a question, but I'll address that just briefly. Floaters are when the vitreous from a gel-like substance breaks down into more liquid, and people can see strands or fibrils of collagen floating around in their eye. It's basically a shadow cast by light coming into the eye against that strand of collagen. It can look like a squiggle or a line or a dot. And there is some early research to show that bromelain may help with floaters in addition to vitamin C as well as L-lysine. So if you want to support, have nutritional support for floaters, I would say hydration, collagen building blocks, perhaps bromelain, which is actually comes from pineapple, or you can do a bromelain extract, lots of vitamin C, and anything else, Dr. Grossman, that I forgot that I didn't mention?
Well, as you mentioned, there's also hyaluronic acid there. So if deficient hyaluronic acid, which is also good for the joints and is an anti-inflammatory. And remember, those strands, as Dr. Banik said, are proteins. So then again, I'm looking at, does somebody have problems with digestion of proteins? So I might also recommend digestive enzymes with protease. So again, we're not treating we have to treat the person behind the eyes, because a very nearsighted person with floaters is much different than a farsighted person with floaters, because the eyeball is more stretched. So again, we have to look at the whole context and then try to figure out a protocol to try.
Thank you both. Got a lot of other questions just coming in. One person said, is myopia correctable with exercises?
Dr. Grossman, I'll let you take that one because you improved your myopia.
The answer to almost every question is yes and no. Okay, the eye stops growing at about 14 years old. So if somebody becomes nearsighted in their 20s, it's not genetic. It's not like lightning has struck them at that moment in time and said, you will now become nearsighted. They're probably in law school, medical school, and working on digital devices 8 to 10 hours a day. So there's a functional reason behind it. So again, like I said initially, we have to treat the underlying reason of why the myopia has been created. How their inner vision affects their outer vision. So yes, myopia can improve. I improved mine from a prescription around -3.0 with some astigmatism to now it's about a -0.5. So, but I don't promise everybody. Some people walk in with a -15 and I say, if you think you're probably going to get rid of your glasses or contacts, it's not been my experience in 45 years. So again, we have to talk to the reasons why. But yes, the possibility for myopia, astigmatism, hyperopia, presbyopia to improve is possible. But I'm not going to say definitively.
Yeah, I'll share one other interesting piece of research that's really fascinating. Myopia is an epidemic in this world, and it's estimated that about 50% of the population will become myopic by the year 2050. And so in some countries, particularly in Asia where myopia is rampant, well over 90% of people have myopia, they've done studies looking at school children and having them spend more time outdoors with exposure to the sun. And those studies have shown that when children spend 2 hours a day playing outdoors during the day, their rate of myopia progression decreases. So it is important for us as human beings to be out in the sun for many reasons, many health benefits. But now you can add on prevention of myopia progression to that list. And there are some other countries now, particularly like in Europe, like for example, Denmark, they mandate that their school kids spend 2 hours a day during the school day outdoors. It hasn't quite come to the United States yet, but hopefully there will be changes in the way our educational system is, and hopefully they'll recognize this and start to implement some of these simple natural healing strategies.
Yeah, I mean, like Dr. Banik said, 80 to 90% of children under 14 years old in China or Japan are nearsighted. If that's not an epidemic, nothing is. And why are we having it? Because people are NDD. What's NDD? Nature deficit disorder. So go outside, forest bathe. Big, probably the easiest, least expensive, most powerful tool we have.
Absolutely. And I think there was a question also about red light therapy. This is a whole lecture into itself, red and infrared light therapy. But I'll just say that there are some really promising studies to show its benefits for macular degeneration, glaucoma, and myopia progression. And actually, it was recently, red light therapy and infrared light therapy was recently FDA approved for macular degeneration. So you're going to be hearing a lot more about this, and we as eye care providers are very excited that some of these healing strategies, we call them photobiomodulation, can prove to be so beneficial for eye health. I have a red light device myself, by the way. So
If I could just interject one question too. In terms of myopia, there's also the factor that people are staring at print or screens, but near space, like 15 hours a day, as you said. And without, I mean, the accommodation of the system is going to make people myopic. So, like, even simple things, looking away from the screen, looking away from the print every few minutes for 20 seconds and looking at far space and near space, alternating, isn't that a useful thing to do as well in terms of both prevention in general and just prevention of advancement of myopia?
yeah, absolutely. This is something that we call the 20-20-20 rule in eye care. And what it means is similar to what you described, Dr. Geller, is every 20 minutes, take a 20-second break and look at something. Don't look at your screen, don't look at what you're reading, whether it's your phone or a book. Look at something in the far distance at infinity, basically, for 20 seconds. So take that break, relax your eyes, relax the accommodation. I think there was also a question about why eyes may get longer, and we do think it's increased accommodative strain that's causing young
Mhm.
eyes to elongate. And so we definitely need to teach our children this as well, as to take breaks from their screens.
Okay. We're actually coming up on 8:30 right now. We can go for a few more minutes if everybody's willing to be still here. I'm happy to do so if you want to take some more of the questions.
Can we maybe do one or two more questions?
I just wanted to say, Dr. Geller, what you said was really important about being on screens or digital devices, because structure affects function. If you're going to carry 50 pounds of rice on your back, this is going to be straight. If you're going to look at 16 to 18 inches, your system's going to accommodate for that and you become nearsighted.
Right. And just to follow up on that, I mean, a big focus of vision therapy is doing things that reverse that or try to reverse that kind of accommodation, correct?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Remember, the goal of all the different eye exercises is increasing the flexibility and the adaptability. So that is the central theme in all eye exercises.
Mhm. Serena, is there one or two other questions that you can bring up?
There are a couple glaucoma questions. So, how does stress affect glaucoma, and are there any exercises for glaucoma specifically?
I don't know if there's been any study about stress and glaucoma, but I can definitely say from my experience, anecdotally, seeing my patients when they're stressed, there tends to be higher eye pressure, and high eye pressure is a risk factor for glaucoma. And so it's possible that that could lead to more progression of damage to the optic nerve. In terms of specific eye exercises, other than what we've shared, I'm not aware of any specific eye exercises for glaucoma. That being said, aerobic activity is actually recommended for people who are at risk for glaucoma, who have glaucoma. And on the flip side, if you're doing a lot of weight training where you're doing a lot of Valsalva maneuvers, that may temporarily increase the pressure of your eyes. So definitely talk to your doctor about that, whether your weight training regimen may potentially be impacting your eye pressure and putting you more and more risk for glaucoma. The other exercise I would refrain from if one has glaucoma is any exercise where you're in a head down position. For example, if you're doing yoga and you're doing downward dog, we know that when people are in a prolonged, not just for a few seconds, but if it's prolonged head down position, whether it's downward dog or a headstand or a handstand, that can lead to increased eye pressure and cause potential progression of glaucoma.
And maybe one last question.
I'll just add a couple things to that. Again, some of the newest glaucoma medication, not that new anymore, increase nitric oxide levels. So any exercises that we can do to increase nitric oxide, and again, going back to diet, beets, arugula, try to get more nitric oxide. And in terms of an eye exercise, again, just shifting your focus from near, count of two, far, count of two, near, far focus. Again, we're going to get the pumping action because for me, glaucoma is all about circulation. So anything we can do besides the eye yoga, which is left to right and up and down, and then near and far, we want to increase our flexibility.
One last one.
There are a couple questions on cataracts. One person asked, once cataracts have formed, can exercises slow down progression? And can you comment on reversing cataracts naturally?
That's a whole 2-hour class. But again, there's so many different kinds of cataracts, and it depends on the location of the cataract, the opaqueness in the lens. It depends if it's anterior, posterior. It depends if it's secondary to taking steroids. I mean, cataracts, it depends if it's a 50-year-old with a cataract as opposed to a 88-year-old with a cataract. So again, we have to treat the person behind it. So yeah, I don't have any magic bullet.
Yeah, I mean, antioxidants are key for cataract management. Uh, there was one agent that, this is just a side story, whether cataracts can be dissolved or not. There was one agent that worked in an animal model in dogs, but when they tried it in humans, it did not work. It's lanosterol. And for whatever reason, it was able to dissolve cataracts in dogs, but not, in live humans. So there's still research being done on that. And, maybe I do hope that hopefully in the next 5 to 10 years, we will have something that will be able to resolve or reverse cataract formation without requiring surgery. That would revolutionize eye care, completely. But I think we'll get there.
Dr. Banik, Dr. Grossman, thank you so much. This has been great. I know there's like 50 more questions, but unfortunately we can't get to them tonight. However, I'd just like everybody to realize that tonight was like a little appetizer to the much more elaborate course that the doctors are planning to present at one of the conferences next year, and also possibly create a course for people who are interested in pursuing some of these strategies and learning more about them in depth. I think that your contacts have both been put into the chats someplace, but I haven't been keeping track of that, so I'm not sure. But the resources that you talked about and PDF and all that stuff, that is already been put into the chat, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have just one final announcement to make before everybody runs off, and that is that next month's meeting, October meeting, I believe the date is going to be October 15th. This is an event that has actually been organized by Serena Lee, who's been on the Zoom. And it is going to be an in-depth exploration of the long-time East-West Integrative Medicine program at the University of California, the UCLA, East-West. What's the name?
Yeah,
What's
it's UCLA's East-West Clinic. You're right.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's called East-West Clinic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this should be of great interest to anybody who's interested in programs and working in institutions. And it's really going to be about the incorporation of integrative methods into or integrative program into a hospital-based system, academic hospital-based system. And that is, I think, all that we can do tonight. But thank you so much again for.
Oh, Peter, you're muted.
Guess Peter's muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I don't know when I started getting muted, but I'm just saying thank you so much again for your time and your efforts. And I don't know if this was heard before, but I was saying this is just a little appetizer to the main course, the main meal that is going to be available next year in different formats at the conference, hopefully, and in whatever course material that you put together for interested parties. So thanks so much, everyone, for attending. And again, Doctors Banik and Grossman, thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, Peter.
Thank you so much. It was an honor. Thank you.
Much gratitude. Thank you all for your attention. Yes.
The honor is ours. Thank you and good night, everybody.
Good night.
You will.
Serena, thank you.
No, thank you. That was awesome. That was a great presentation. Thank you.
Great. So we'll be in touch, whenever you can